look at that. Just like I predicted. And I mean, it wasn't really hard to predict because the forecast said it's supposed to be 13 today. And, you know, last time I checked, snow was not really compatible with that kind of temperature. So, yeah, it wasn't hard to predict that the snow was going to be gone. And it actually melted the same day. You know, we got the best of it in the morning. So I'm really glad we got it on camera because that was beautiful. Beautiful walk. And now we're back to, hear that? Yeah, squishy. Draco, tady jdeme. I'll just call him Drake. Tady. Away from the feeding spot, like usual. Good boy. Good boy. And the wind is back a little bit. Not too much. But yeah, a little bit. So, yeah, we're back to the non-wintry winter. For a few days, and then I saw the forecast and it says it's supposed to be much colder the next week, so let's hope for that. Because this is... Ale no tak Draku, pojď, tady jdeme. Yeah, he's trying it again, you know. Classic Drake. Classic Drake is trying it. He's making his move. He's making his move. He's making his move. Yeah. No, ale Draku, ne. Tady jdeme. Look at that, like from the gate, like from the play, he tried it again, you know, second attempt, why not? No, he's your expert league. No. Well, anyways, yeah, let's hope for colder temperatures, because, you know, 13, 14 in February and early February is insane. Yeah, and actually yesterday I was driving. It was I don't know, 7 p.m. It was dark, and I saw little bits of like little things on the asphalt, you know, on the road. And I was like passing and I was like, are those frogs? And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, nah. Ooh. Heard that? Those were J's, I think 2 or 3 maybe, because that just didn't sound like one. Yeah, it's definitely one for sure, but that was loud. Oh yeah, there's a second one. Yeah, those were J's and their classic alarm call. So yeah, I saw those things on the road, and I was like, are those frogs? No, that can't be, man. It's winter. It cannot be, right? And then I passed, you know, like I passed 1, I passed 2, I passed 3. I started to be a little suspicious and careful, because I'm always like, when it's the season and the frogs are, you know, coming across the road, I'm extremely careful, trying to be as careful as I can. Sometimes I even stop, really like stop anywhere I can, and just like depending on the traffic obviously, but I stop where I can. I get out of the car and I carry the frogs somewhere to safety, you know, because it tears my heart, you know, when I go and pass some road on foot and I see so many dead frogs squashed and, you know, ran over, and it really, really, really tears my heart, because it's such a shame, you know, they awake after a long sleep, they awake in the spring to oh, sorry buddy, Hold on. Let's go. Whoop. There you go. They awake after a long sleep, and they're, you know, ready for their year and for, you know, mating and laying eggs and all of that, you know, enjoying life. And they get run over by a car, you know, on their way on a one little strip of weird artificial ground that we've made on a little, I don't know how, 4-meter strip, and they get run over by like one car that passes through, you know, in 5 minutes maybe or something. And it's such a shame, you know. Sometimes I even see frogs that were mating, you know, like a bullfrog, like a large female and a smaller male on top holding her, and they're both flat, they're both squashed, so they were mating while they were killed, which I suppose is the better scenario than if you're like just a lonely frog looking for a mate and then you're killed. I guess it's more, though I don't know, man, because that's double kill, you know. So it's kind of questionable whether it's better or not, but it's really sad, you know. It's really sad whenever that happens. Whenever there is a season, I'm just trying to be as careful as I can, and whenever I see a huge old bullfrog, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Bullfrog's probably American. It's not bullfrog. It's a toad. It's a common toad. And now I would probably be wrong with the Latin name because I'm not an expert on frogs, but I think it's buffo. But let me correct myself in the subtitles if I'm wrong. But yeah, it's a common toad. I don't know why I was saying bullfrog. Yeah, that's definitely an American species or like exotic species for us, so not a bullfrog. So yeah, that's always a time when I'm really kind of like anxious and trying to, you know, help those frogs and trying not to be one of the responsible for their demise, which at times is extremely hard, you know, because for instance, when we go on a walk and there is I don't know how you call that time, but when there is the time that the tiny little toads hatch out of their eggs, and there is literally thousands of them on the ground, you know, everywhere you look, everywhere you go, they're there, you know. And my God, you know, I am like, whenever that time is happening, like whenever that's their time, I am like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Because I don't want to step on those little cute frogs, you know. But they're literally everywhere, you know. And it really doesn't matter. Like usually they're better seen on the road, so it's better if you're on the road, because that way you can kind of walk slowly and dodge them. But they're like in the grass, they're on the roads, they're on the paths, they're in the forest, they're like everywhere, you know. And I guess the nature kind of calculated that by you know the nature probably knew, not probably, like nature is pretty much, you know, I'd say all-knowing. It like counted for every possible scenario, although not sure how humans you know count in that, you know, like it's a probably topic for another video, but nature thought about everything, you know. Let's put it that way, you know. Nature thought about everything, and most probably even, you know, thought about humans becoming the way we are, you know. Who knows? I don't know. But nature thought about everything. So I think the reason why there is so many of them, like it's just overwhelming craziness, is because exactly for this reason, because many of them get picked by predators, many of them get squashed under feet, hoofs, paws, wheels, God knows what else. And even before the roads were a thing and before cars were existing, there were still animals, heavy animals that could squish them. And if there are thousands of frogs and there's a herd of deer walking across walking across where they are, they're gonna squish hundreds of them, So it's just, I guess, the way it is. But having consciousness and having feeling of guilt and remorse and all of that which we humans have, and I have to say especially I have, when it comes to well-being of other animals, I'm like, oh man, very, very anxious whenever this time comes, and I'm trying my damn best to dodge as many as I can, but really it is hard. It is very, very hard. And very time consuming, because it's like a minefield, you really have to think about wherever you lay your feet and constantly watch the ground, and they're brown. So if you're walking on a path that is brown, then good luck seeing them, Fortunately, I have my glasses now, so it was much more sort of difficult before. Now it's like I have my sight sharp again, fortunately. But yeah, yesterday, to get back to what I was talking about, it was so warm, and today too, obviously, that the frogs were awake. They were active, and they were, crossing the road, and I've seen a couple of them already, ran over by a car. So that made me quite sad. I have to say, I was like, damn, damn, yeah. So I hope they're gonna be all right. I hope they're gonna, go into hibernation again as soon as the temperatures drop. But if you're, if you have these kind of warm temperatures in your place, watch out. Be aware whenever you're driving, especially in the night. Yeah, just be aware that there can be frogs, and whenever you can, just try to dodge them. Of course, don't risk your own life, driving into a tree or getting into an accident just to dodge a frog. I mean, obviously that's not what that's supposed to be about. But if there's, if you're driving through a quiet road and it's just you, then I'm always trying to do my best to avoid them and to dodge them. And when there's a spot when they are more when their occurrence is more common, usually that's somewhere close to bodies of water. So whenever there's a pond or a marsh or some wetlands in general, I would definitely drive more slower there, And sometimes, of course, if you're driving through an area you don't know, then it's kind of hard to say, oh, there are wetlands here, But it tells you, and there's a lot of frogs, suddenly there has to be something like that close, So it's always great or good to kind of slow it down a little bit and just be careful, yeah, because some of those frogs can live up to, I don't know, for instance, the common toad. I remember I read about them, and they can live up to, well into 20 years, for instance, So it's not just not that life not that the value of life is, evaluated by its length, I don't want to be that kind of person that says, okay, well, I mean, this lives for a month, so who the fuck cares, I don't think, I think every life is equal, and every life has its value, whether not dependent on how long that animal lives or how large it is. But still, you know, when you think about it, if you ran over a frog and it's been, you know, alive and well for I don't know 20 years and you kill it, it's just, you know, accidentally, obviously, you know, I mean, it's not a murder, but like, I mean, it's a shame, you know. And yeah, so and yeah, they're great creatures, and very unfortunately one of the most endangered creatures in the world right now, one of the most endangered group of animals that are just, well, they really were hit badly with our, you know, advancement in industry and society in general. And you know, we're not particularly friendly with their natural habitat, just various wetlands and everything, and they're really dependent on very clean, well-balanced environment, you know. And any sort of pollution in the water, any sort of pollution in their natural environment is really deadly to them. So if you look at the red list, you know, now I don't recall the you know, the abbreviation for the organization. It's IUCN, I think. So if you look at the red list, like the group that has the most, like, critically endangered species, one of the most endangered group is the amphibians, you know. And it makes sense, to be honest. So amphibians are precious, and they're very, very well, they're becoming rare, and they're precious, and they really need all our, you know, all our sort of help. And you know, I mean, there are various different sort of approaches to everything, to what's happening in the world, and the conservation, and I might have some, like, controversial opinions on things that maybe I'm gonna, you know, sort of let out at some point, you know. I don't know, but I feel like if you can help, I would do it, you know. And if you can make some species or some animal's life better, I think it's worth doing it, especially if it's a species that are essential and vital part of the environment, which is, I mean, vital part of the whole of the whole balance, you know, of the whole sort of pyramid, so to speak. And I mean, every creature out there is that way, you know. Like, insects are incredibly important. And, you know, of course, insects can be annoying, you know, at times, obviously, but they're extremely essential, you know, to not only the survival of many different species, but to our own survival too, you know, which we maybe don't appreciate or realize often. But yeah, I think frogs might be overlooked sometimes. I mean, just like probably insects. And they're, you know, unfortunately suffering a lot. And they will be happy for all the help they can get, you know, for every single wetland that doesn't get dried out, you know, every wetland that doesn't get, you know, canceled by us. Or, you know, if you have a garden, if you make a wild pond in your garden, then that's a haven for them, you know, where they can breed, where they can live, where they can feed. Anything counts, really, you know. Or if you're driving by on a road and you see a frog passing, you know, a large adult toad that would, you know, well, be laying eggs soon, and it would, you know, procreate, then, you know, carrying her into safety, you know, you've really done your part, you know, you help her you help her make it, and you know, she'll carry offspring, and there'll be like thousands more toads that will then have their own toads, and yada yada, you know, the cycle. And by that little single small, you know, step or small sort of act, you create a large ripple effect. You know, it might not seem like that, you know, it's just like you would say one toad, but it's much more than that, I believe, you know. And it feels great, to be honest, you know, like it just feels great, you know, to do something like that. And yeah, I really like, I love it, to be honest. So so yeah, even such a small act of well, I would say kindness can go a long way. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. And with that, I'm gonna sign off.